concept of ERP is so massive and people don't understand it. Sometimes you need to make a custom report or something, but the data is all there. You don't need to glue it together in weird ways from different places.
How are you today?
Very good, thank you.
And so you're from Steersman.
Steersman, right?
Steersman.
Yeah.
And what position do you hold at Steersman?
So my official title is a business development manager. In reality, I'm one of the co-founders. We started the company about 8 years ago or so. But,
and how has it grown since 8 years ago?
We've grown. It's been a roller coaster, like I think many companies that are starting out. So we started it with an old-time friend. He's our CTO. I'm on the business side, basically. So we started 8 years ago. It was two of us for about a year. We hired one person, then we hired another one. One person left, and throughout
the growth of a company, yeah.
Throughout the years we grew. There's 8 of us now. So, and we are looking for more people right now. We're kind of busier than what we could handle with our team right now. So it's very good.
Great. Now, where are you located, or do you have many locations?
We are located in Deerfield, Illinois.
Oh, okay.
It's a north suburb of Chicago.
Okay.
And everybody's there. We don't have any other locations. Nobody working from home, from anywhere else. It's just this.
Great. And out of 8 people, how are your teams kind of divided? What do you find is the best mix for building a team?
So I would say that how our team is divided right now and how I think what is the best for us going forward, it's not exactly the same.
Great. Give us both.
So we're basically, we're growing and we're trying to switch from being a small team to being a bigger team, right? So we're changing things. We're adding layers of management into our organization because small team, it's very flat, right? And so right now we are growing into more of an organizational structure where we will have leaders, manager, like a manager level and implementation level. So right now we're pretty developer heavy. We have 5 people that are in engineering, developers. And then we have 2 people that are functional experts and 1 person who is a designer and everything else, pretty much.
Wow. And so how did you come to being an Odoo partner?
Let's see. It was a long time ago. Even before that, when I was about 22 years old, I started a company that did industrial supplies distribution with an e-commerce store. And at some point, that company needed to upgrade. We had a mix of different software. We had one software for order management, something else for accounting, another thing for CRM, something else for shipping. It's just a hodgepodge. It's exactly what Odoo tries to replace in reality.
Right.
So we needed to upgrade. I started looking around what to upgrade to, and the friend in technology that I had, my business partner now, I asked him, like, hey, what do we do? How do we upgrade? And so then it's attainable because it's a small company. But it's actually an upgrade instead of just, switching to another set of problems. He recommended Odoo. In reality, he recommended Odoo because he did a search for a system like that for another company that he was previously in.
Okay.
That's right. So he investigated a whole lot of systems. He went to the Odoo Day event like 10 years ago already, and he saw it and he loved it, right, because of just what the system is and how it is. And so he said, okay, it's this one. If you want to upgrade, that's the system. So, but then when we started looking at doing the setup for the company, we quickly realized that it's going to be like a service-based thing. We can't just do it for this one company because it will just be a little bit expensive in terms of maintenance, the things that we needed to add. So we started the company to build out what that company needed, but also then to offer it to others. And so we've been doing it since then.
Wow. And so you mentioned that you had industry experience and your background was in a specific industry. Is that now the industry that you serve?
No, it is not.
Okay.
No, not necessarily, right? So that specific company, it was industrial supplies, safety supplies to be exact, like work gloves, respirators, and things like this. We do not work with anybody that does exactly that now, right? The thing that we are going for now is more automotive. So we've basically over time we've collected a few customers that are in the automotive world, and there are specific data structure needs that the automotive world needs. It has some functionality it needs, like for example, automotive parts. We have something called cores, right? So like if you buy a battery from a retailer of automotive parts, you could return to them a spent battery and get some kind of credit, but only if you return it within a certain time. And that thing is present on both the customer side and the vendor side, and that needs to all be tracked. So you're kind of buying a product, but the core comes with it, and then the price is the price of a product and the core, and then you return the core, you get credit. But if you return it too late, then you don't. We built this functionality and a bunch of other things, like data structures for automotive. So we're really trying to focus on that. And another side thing that we also do, that we've built kind of extensive functionality for, that's powerful, is for something called CPQ, configure price quote. We've built functionality for manufacturers that they sell highly configurable products and make them to order, basically, right? So, for example, we have a bicycle manufacturer, that, a company that manufactures bicycles to order. And then in some of their bikes, we have literally 1 million options, right? If you combine all the different possibility of these wheels and these handlebars and this gear set, if you multiply all of it, 1 million variations for a product. So all of that needs to have a unique bill of material, and also they have multiple levels of assembly, right? So like the final bicycle has all these components, but then the subcomponent might also have 30,000 bills of materials, just because of just how the arrangement is. So we build functionality to dynamically generate all these bill of materials, to price these products, and to basically manage the whole manufacturing process, changes in these things, right, when there's 1 million variations. So we're trying to offer that as well. We have 2 clients using this now.
Wow.
So these are our primary targets. That's what we're trying to do now.
And so when you get a project like this, from kind of start to finish, what does your implementation methodology look like? How do you approach this kind of project, or any of your projects?
I think that it depends on the project, right? So, and it depends on the mentality of the customer. So some customers, larger organizations primarily, they tend to want to have things more thought out. So there isn't a very extensive analysis that we do. We can go on site at the company and interview their employees, figure out the requirements, figure out all the specifications, and write up the specifications, how we will do it, right? So basically we write up what is going to be the standard Odoo functionality, how it will fulfill whatever is needed. We sometimes need to go ahead and change the procedures a little bit if Odoo does it similarly or equivalently, right? And then in some cases we could convince a customer that it's fine. In some cases the customer says, no, see, it's our competitive advantage depends on this particular thing working this way, a little bit different. Then we go ahead and figure out customizations, and then we go into the actual implementation of a project, right? So we start doing configurations, we start writing customizations, and then we put everything together and do testings, reviews with the clients. And in some cases, the client, usually a smaller company, they don't want that because it's basically a lot of upfront investment, and they think that their business is really easy. And in that case, we do more of like a kind of like assumed package for them. We go ahead and have some interviews with them to see what it is that they do, but more in a general sense. We don't go into minute details. And then we basically set up Odoo in like best way set up for them, right? So like you are a distributor, you sell through phone and email, right? No e-commerce. So this is the setup, right? We start with an out-of-the-box setup that we could also do even for demos. And then from there, we start showing them how Odoo works. And then normally we can get most of the things to accommodate what we need, because in reality, right, if it's a distribution business, they buy product, they sell product, they need to track it in particular ways. Odoo accommodates so much of this, right? Because it's so configurable, you can just set it up in different ways.
Right.
So in most cases, it just works, and then we just need to train them. In some cases, of course, we do find some little things here and there, and maybe we need to customize, or maybe we figure out some kind of a creative solution, I guess.
Yeah.
Right? So that's kind of how we approach it. Am I answering your question?
Yes,
the way
yes,
you're
your implementation methodology, yes.
Okay.
And you said during that a lot of the times it's small businesses.
Right.
Are you catering specifically to small to medium-sized businesses? Have you gotten into the mid-market corporate space? And what are your plans for that?
So historically, majority of our clients were between, I would say, 5 to 25 employees.
Okay.
The latest implementation that we just finished, when we worked in tandem with another partner. It's really the client that we implemented. It was the biggest project that we did so far. It wasn't our client. Another Odoo partner is actually like doing training and some of the functional requirement gathering, but we did all the technology implementation. So it's an interesting thing where, I guess, other partners started outsourcing to us, which is really cool. We want to pursue it. But that company had 70 employees. So I guess,
Okay.
I don't know, by the standards of American SBA, right? It's a small business, but it is bigger than the average
Yeah.
business. And then we have another implementation in progress right now. We signed a contract with that company about half a year ago, and we've been working on gathering requirements, specifications for them. That company has over 100 employees. And so the entire organization is going to run on Odoo. It's a wholesaler, distributor of parts for the HVAC industry and
Oh, okay.
other type of products. So a company with like 3 million products in the catalog,
Yeah.
a little bit over 100 people, so a little bit bigger. So we are starting to get into slightly bigger companies, but I don't see us in the coming few years working on a project with like 1,000 people.
Mm.
But this type of project, 100 employees, maybe 200, that would be okay.
Bread and
We can
butter.
handle that.
And are these customers that you're speaking about in Illinois, or do you travel to them? Do you do this virtually?
The majority of our customers happen to not be in Illinois, interestingly enough. I think only, 3 customers that we have are in Illinois, that's it. And the rest of them are just throughout the United States. All of them are in the US, but all everywhere else. For the smaller customers, normally we do not travel because it's an additional expense, and
Right.
so it makes sense to just do things remotely, and it works, right?
Yeah.
For Odoo, it's simple enough that we can just train and explain it remotely, and we don't do their local IT, right, all of their network or anything like that. None of it is needed because Odoo is cloud-based, so we manage it all remote and we train the people. We don't travel. But for the last few projects, like for example, this company with over 100 people, we did travel already there. They're in Pennsylvania. I visited them twice already, and we will visit them more. We will spend maybe up to 100 or even more hours on site
Wow.
at their company while we're doing the training for them.
And when you are in that initial process of sourcing customers, do people come to you based on that automotive expertise, or do you find yourselves going out into the community?
Historically, we've not done any sales actively. We just have our website, we describe all our stuff, we write articles, and people come to us.
That's great. And you mentioned the partner ecosystem because you said that you were partnering with a partner. So what have you found beneficial about the partner ecosystem? What do you like about being an Odoo partner? And how has that, journey been for you?
It's kind of hard to answer that question, I guess. We've our main project where we collaborated with another partner has been that project. So we don't have, tremendous experience of doing that type of thing outside of it. We want to do that more now because it worked,
Yeah.
right? And then other than that, we tend to collaborate more with consultants, but that are not Odoo partners already, right? So we're a technology consultant. We've got, I think, 4 or 5 projects that we implemented where we were introduced into the project not by the internal employee of a client, but by some kind of a consultant that we hired to go ahead and help them with figuring out
Right.
what to do, right? And then that person would visit us, or we would have some calls with them, and then we would be selected basically to do it. In terms of the ecosystem of Odoo, I don't know. I think it's good. There's a partner ecosystem. There's a lot of companies that integrate Odoo. I think for Odoo itself, it's a wonderful thing because it shows clients that there's a lot of interest. There's a lot of demand for it, right? For us, I don't know. It's good to have our profile on the Odoo page because we get to write up what we do, and then
Yeah.
when a customer goes there on a list of Odoo partners, they can see who does what, and then they can basically kind of like self-identify and select the partner that they want to work with.
How has the learning curve been when bringing your team and yourself up to speed on Odoo and and with the new versions every year and everything? How do you find that learning curve?
So once you are already an Odoo expert, I think that learning a new version is easy. It's not very hard, right? There would be new features, and it's really cool that things are developing, but just simply catching on to them, it's not very hard. We also tend to not work with all types of clients, right? So we don't work with like educational facilities or service businesses, so we don't have to know the entirety of Odoo per se, right? We know the general things about those apps that have to do with it, but we don't have to know all the details, right? So
Right.
it makes it easier for us, so we concentrate. Making a new person who is coming into Odoo, but with other ERP experience, also not so bad. I would say maybe half a year with like extensive learning, and they would be an expert, top notch. They would really know this stuff the way that we need them to know, right? If they are not familiar with ERPs, so they didn't work with our ERPs as like an ERP expert, then it's harder, I think, right? Just because I think the concept of ERP is so massive and people don't understand it, but it's not like it's some kind of a little tool that does this, just CRM. No, it does the work of NetSuite and Salesforce and some other software and another thing. It's so much.
An understanding of business definitely helps.
Yeah. So
to be able to conceptualize what you're doing then in the software.
Yeah, well, understanding, right, the general business, I think that's critical, of course, because otherwise the technology wouldn't make sense, right?
Right.
So, but also I think that understanding the business side of things, but also being very familiar with other ERP systems.
Okay.
That really helps, onboard like a functional expert, right? So if they know that, then yeah, a few months, half a year, or something like that, then they become really, really good at Odoo. If they don't have that knowledge, then I think it could easily take a year or more to become really like an expert of the level we would like to have on our team. And we try to be like a premium provider, right? So we want our people to be more, well, really above average, I guess. I don't know how to say that,
Don't we all?
So yeah, of course, yeah. But getting there, basically, we have a path where we start with, the person becomes just kind of more basic support. Then through support and answering questions and continually learning, then they could start working on implementations, gathering requirements, so they become more of a kind of like higher, how do you say it? Higher
fully
knowledge.
Functional.
Yeah. Higher function, higher knowledge persons.
Yeah.
And then for developers, I think it's a little bit different path because, I mean, for developers, knowing code and business systems, it's a huge part, right? So basically, if they know the language and they're familiar with business and business systems, then they could become a little bit productive very fast. But for a developer to become proficient in Odoo so that they're kind of self-sufficient, they could be given a task and then they go ahead and implement it and it's right and they don't go in the wrong directions and customize more than what's needed. That could take also several months, I believe.
Wow. And I think we see that a lot at Odoo as well, like internally. So that makes complete sense. We've talked about it a little bit in all these questions, but looking forward for Steersman, what are some things we can expect? What are you excited about? Is there anything that you're hoping for in the future?
Growth.
Yeah.
Growth, I guess. So we are trying to grow our team, and change the layers of management and organize teams in a slightly different way, specifically because we are so busy right now, right? So that's our bottleneck right now. We have a little bit more demand than we could handle. So figuring out that is our next challenge, basically, for ourselves, right? And then if we figure it out, then we are going to be growing our team. And then we can actually go into active sales. That's what we've been trying to do for a long time already, because it's really nice that people just come to us based on needing Odoo and seeing what we specialize in. But we want to be, I guess, more, well, how do you say it? What's the word for that? More
proactive?
Yeah. Yes. More proactive about this. Yes. So then we go after more specific types of customers, right?
Yes. You're the first person I've talked to today who's in a very specific industry, and I think it's interesting to hear about an industry that I didn't know about too.
All right.
And all of the different little pieces that go into a specific industry. So my next question is, what are your favorite things about Odoo? And in version 18, is there something that you would love to see?
Oh, I'm not sure.
You're able to choose?
I haven't really thought about that, the version 18 thing. So no comment on that. It could be whatever it will be. But so far, the versions have been nice. The things that are introduced in versions every year, it's nice. Sometimes it feels like it's would have been nice earlier, of course, but everybody wants more faster and everything, but there's only so much that could be done. But the favorite things about Odoo for me, and I think for our team in general, it's that it's a single system. It's a, how do you say it, a monolith system, right? It's one code base, one database, one everything, and then modules plug into it. It's truly the way that it is. And it seems like with many other ERPs, the ecosystem grew by acquisition, right? So they started with some stuff, and then they're like, oh, let's go ahead and make a CRM. Let's buy some company, and then they integrate it. Right. And so there's a little bit of glue between different things.
Yep. And when all the apps were created at the same time from the ground up and they look the same, makes training people on it easier and learning it.
Business intelligence is better, right? Because everything really connects with one database. It's all stored in the same way, so you can really spin the data out in whatever way you need out of it, right? Sometimes you need to make a custom report or something, but the data is all there. It's all accessible. You don't need to glue it together in weird ways from different places. Yeah. So that's really a powerful thing. And I think that the price point of Odoo is just amazing. So, of course, it's one of the primary reasons why people go for Odoo, right? Because it does so much, but for a relatively inexpensive price. So it's almost like a little miracle for small businesses, I think.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much.
This is the face behind the voice. We love you, Emilie. Thank you so much